What's up, everybody? What's up? What's up? It's me, Thomas J. Bellezza. Welcome to The Right Mindset. Woo! Flows cushion and gets comfy. Yes, get comfy. For today, we are back on, as I like to say, writing the book in real time. And it looks like audio is good. I'm excited. All right, let's do this. Let's share the screen. Let's share the screen. Yeah, there we go. Boop. All right. What's up, L Flowers? What's up? What's up? What's up? All right. As always, if anyone's watching and you have questions in real time, ask the questions on what I'm doing, etc., etc. Yes, better this week. You're not down a rabbit hole. Well, listen. Sometimes I do get stuck in that rabbit hole, and I'll tell you right now, it is not comfortable. All right. With that said, let's keep it going. So today is Sunday, which means we are going to go over writing a book, me showing you the behind the scenes. This is not a book that I really care about. This is a book that I'm using as an idea from scratch without any prior work to help you learn the process of writing, from brainstorming to outlining all the way to the writing process of prose and going over it. I will be explaining things as I do it. But again, sometimes I don't explain everything. So if you have a question or something doesn't make sense, ask me what to do. We, for anyone who hasn't seen the previous videos, we brainstormed some ideas about this character. The character's name is Laura Olivia. And we started the outlining process. Here we go. We got the ordinary world, we got the inciting incident, and we have the protagonist reach the inciting. They react to the inciting incident. And then we had the protagonist reacts to and reflects on the long-term impacts. So that's interesting. And then, wow, I got it. Oh, I feel like I did a lot. I did a lot last time. I didn't realize my brain was like, hey, okay. So let's see where we're at. All right. So Laura is a nobody. We see her doing the transport. I'm a transporter. All right. And then let's see. She has a dog. That's nice. Okay. And then the inciting incident is there's a hijack. They head to the ship dock. Laura is hey, we got to get off this planet. And she goes, okay. And then the ship gets shot. I got to sneeze. God bless you. All right. That was hard and heavy. All right, just in time they get out of there. The ship is damaged. Meanwhile, the hyperspace, they got to work on that. The love interest, they have a little moment, and they do fix the ship by the end of the chapter. Okay. And then let's see. They're working on the ship, doing diagnostics. All right. Laura actually has a translator in, so she knows what they're saying. You notice they're kind of playing. No, I have no idea. That's kind of funny. Laura hasn't paid off the ship yet, and she still owes money on it. Anyway. The gang leader wants her to drop them off at the nearest planet, which then she crashes her ship, needs to find parts. All right. Okay. She has to get a new job. Laura finds a job. Oh, I remember where we are. Okay, Laura finds a new job in a dangerous planet of people no one will hire because she's an alien. All right, someone does give her a chance, but she can't tell anyone she works here because she does blah, blah, blah. Okay, this is important. This person has a connection to the family from Laura's home planet where someone there fought in a war with them and saved their lives. So that's good to know. Okay. What's this? She gets arrested. All right. So we have the lead to gets arrested, but she gets a job. So we could use this section to play with. She has the job. I have to figure out what the job is as per the note and how she has to hide herself. So let's do it. The protagonist's life changes as a result of the action took. Well, the change is that she has a new job on a new planet, trying to make some money so she can replace the parts, right? Because she crashed. She has to find, she needs new parts. All right. So a couple things we're going to do here. I know I don't have soda today. Please forgive me. All right. We just as an aside here, okay. We have to show her doing the job. All right. We also things we need to show during this section. All right. First of all, we have to make sure we spell during right. We have to see her doing her job, but also finding the parts for her ship. Now, I know that I said I want to do this book in 27 chapters, right? I want to try to do a chapter per plot point. But this is where we get to a point where maybe we might have to do a little bit more. But I could mix these two things into one where maybe there's the smiley face again. Maybe her job is at a parts place and she's going to work off the cost of the parts. Okay. And we do that because I don't know if anyone's ever heard me talk about it, but I talk about word budget. I come from screenwriting and for television, film, and one of the main rules is every line costs money. Every single line you write costs money because every eighth of a page is a lot of time of filming, and then every page is basically a minute of film, but it's also every page is basically a day. Like we all look at everything microscopically. So I took that kind of mentality and put it towards the writing of a novel. And if a novel needs to be 81,000 words, you have to say to yourself, what do I want to use that word budget for? Because every time I have to write a scene, every time I have to explain something or describe something or put somebody through a situation, it's going to cost me my word budget. And is that beat worth the word budget? And to me, showing her do a job and finding parts are worth the word budget, but I don't think it's worth two separate instances. So I am going to ultimately try to make it one thing. I have to serve up supper soon, but wanted to say hi. What's up, Emma? Doo, doo. Boop that like button, everyone. Yes, please. Boop, boop, boopity doop, doop, doop that like button. And of course, please follow everybody that's in the chat. Subscribe to the channels. Excellent stuff to enjoy. All right, so I definitely want to see her doing the job. We are most likely going to find the parts, but I think I'm just going to make it that she works at a her job is a parts place. I think that's in boop on the way in. You're the best. Yeah, we got those boops. All right. See, it activates the song. People don't know this, but I sing while I work. All right, so we want to see her do a job. We want to find the parts for her ship. We want to see some pushback on her being there and potentially getting caught. She is in disguise, and I spelled that terribly wrong. All right, disguise. Did I spell it correctly? Disguise, disgust. I don't know. Disguise. All right. Oh no, that's right. Disguise. Okay. Disguise. All right. So I think those would be good. Now we have to hit the first plot twist. By the way, again, I've talked about this, and for people who are curious, these are broad statements. I don't need to go into great detail right now. This is just the general outline. And the less, I know you're saying, but Thomas, look at all this detail up here. Well, this is all stuff I'm working out, and they are indeed broad statements. She loads up her ship, but I'm not going into great detail on how she loads her ship. I'm not going on what kind of ship it is. I have a lot of questions here. I leave some notes for myself, make up my own travel design. Like, I'm not going too deep into it because I want to be able to move notes around quickly and add and subtract where I need to. So when you're doing this part of the outlining, I would recommend not going too deep into the information, just broad strokes, these are extremely broad strokes, and I could adjust those quicker than I can if I map out or even write a full chapter and then have to go through the chapter to adjust it. It's just easier. When I get to maybe the next part of this, which would be where are we? Right now we're on wait, where are we? This is not my where? Oh, okay, we go. Right now we are on short form outlining. All right. And when I get to the extended outline or the zero draft, I like, because this is where I really discover the story, or the narrative, I should say. This is where I'm really discovering. This is where I start plotting out the outlines within chapters, or start figuring out what the chapters are going to be. You'll see that I'll probably do this in a very specific way that you've never seen. This will be a new technique that you've witnessed me do. However, it is not a new technique for me. All right. So, but right now we are on this. So let's keep going. First plot twist. I think somebody should recognize her. I think that would be interesting, because remember, she can get arrested in connection with the gang and falsely imprisoned. You know what? I'm actually going to move this to this. And the reason is because now I can make this whole second, because now the whole first half of Act 2 in my head, now I can make it about her being in prison. So that gives me a little bit more playtime in there. So what that means is ultimately someone recognizes her, right? As an alien that the planet doesn't like, right? And then they call the authorities, and then it turns out she owns the ship that is being searched for, and she is in connection with the criminals from plot point 2. For some reason, my Google Docs don't show me the red lines underneath the words when I spell them wrong. It's very annoying. So plot point 9 will just be she can get arrested in connection with the gang and falsely imprison, meeting the love. So this could also be like, we see her getting chased and arrested, and finally, we can just see her get arrested, and then we could just assume she gets thrown in prison. Okay, so the new world. All right, Laura Olivia. Laura Olivia, right? Is that her name? Is that what we went with? I forget. Yeah, Laura Olivia. Hello, Laura Olivia. I should start using her name so I get comfortable with it. Laura Olivia is getting situated in the prison. So we see her dealing with other inmates, right? Maybe a cell situation, food and eating situation. All right, these are all ideas. None of these, by the way, have to end up being in the story or the narrative itself. But when you're outlining, it's good to just throw out ideas, because I could always just be like, you know what, this idea, I'm going to leave it there, but I don't want to do it, right? Like, that's the important part about outlining. As a developmental editor, the whole thing is don't delete notes, because notes might end up coming back and being useful later, or you might find that you can add it to add a little bit more, not necessarily meat to the story, but maybe more substance. So it's always good to continue to just keep your notes. Boop that like button. Boop, boop, boop that like button. Right. I love it. Thank you, Nicole. You're the best around. Never gonna give you up. No. All right. You're the best around. Okay. I feel like might be freezing up a little bit, but that's okay. All right. We see her dealing with other inmates, maybe a cell situation, food and eating. She gets along with one inmate. Now, why do we have to do this? Because we have to be able to get her to communicate with you. This person is going to have a way for her to contact the love interest to get her out of prison. Okay. So we know that exists. We're seeding that behavior, maybe even show the way they can contact the outside, but they're doing it for themselves at first. And Laura Olivia catches them using the device or method, which will lead to a later plot. Okay. So again, outlining is about understanding the movement of things and not necessarily writing out the specific things that happen. Like, how does she get caught? How does she catch him? We don't know. Like, that's not important right now. That's the story part. That's the discovery. That's the part we get to play with when we're doing the outline for the chapters. But right now, I know I need to seed the fact that there is something we can earn later for contact. You can't just be like, well, they just happen to have a device. But if you show them using a device that doesn't necessarily interfere with the narrative, it's just within the world building, then you can use it. But if it becomes like, I wish I could get out of here, and then they're like, well, I have this device, and you could call your buddy, and they could get you out. Like, now that feels a little contrived, but unearned. It becomes a deus ex machina, all the things we don't like. But that's the thing when you're outlining, you're doing these broad statements. If you watch the last video I did on this, you'll see that I came up with an idea, and then I was like, oh, let me go back and seed that into one of the plot points earlier. And that's all seeding is when, as you're developing your narrative and you start coming up with ideas, just go back to earlier plot points and just add tiny little things that inform the reader that these things exist. Because you don't want things to just, like magic, you don't want magic just to appear and be the device that helps. Oh, we got to get out of here. Well, I happen to have a teleporting spell. Like, just saying. That got someone to leave. Son of a... All right, let's do this. The protagonist can take a break. All right, so real quick, what is this? This is the plot point I get a lot of questions on. If you watch any movie, if you read any book, there's always going to be this really fun moment that isn't necessarily where people are like dancing and screaming and doing all the things, but they may be in turn having a break. They might have a moment to breathe. And that is what the protagonist can do in plot point 11. And it's where we learn a little bit more about characters and their purpose and stuff like that. So if I were, for example, oh, this is Act 3. Have you ever seen, I don't know if anyone's ever seen the Pirates of the Caribbean, the first one, The Curse of the Black Pearl. You've ever seen that? There is where is it? Jack Sparrow. All right. So in that movie, all right, this is plot point 11. So this is where Will and Jack go to Tortuga, and they meet up with Mr. Gibbs. And Jack tells Mr. Gibbs about his plan to get back the Black Pearl and how Jack has leverage with Will. By the way, spoiler alert, where Will is actually William Turner, the son of Bootstraps Bill. But that is the protagonist can take a break and have a little fun. So you learn a little bit. You learn that we're confirming that Will in that moment is who he is to build bootstraps. We're learning that Mr. Gibbs from the beginning of the movie, or the story, we should say, the narrative, actually knows Jack Sparrow. So there's a connection there. We now learn more that Jack Sparrow is connected to the Black Pearl. So we're learning a lot in plot point 11, where the protagonist can take a little break. But if you, in that moment when we're learning that, they're not necessarily in the urgency stage. They're not being forced to run around. There's not a lot of threat or danger. It is a slowed down beat where they can take a breath. All right. Moving on. All right. So what this does, me explaining that right now, allows me to say, let's do this. This right here would be better served in the let's have a break moment. Okay. And we could say, Laura Olivia is getting along with her cellmate, and they're talking a bit about their life outside of the prison, right? We might also learn that maybe we could add more of the romance novel plot here, right? Because she wants to write a romance novel. How'd I get here kind of conversation, because she should have been a romance novelist. She should have been, but she's in prison. All right. Sorry. Okay. And this because so also show that this prison is tough and she's out of her league. Son of a, I cannot spell. All right. Oh, I spelled that right. Did I spell that right? League. Yeah, League of the yeah, League. I spelled that right. All right. Every great writer has a great editor, right? That's right. That's what I'm saying. We're down to 5. Okay. So we're learning a little bit about that. Let's see. The love interest should be mentioned again. This helps seed the character to keep them in the narrative. Okay. I also might want to let's see. All right, show catches the face. Okay, so that's good. So there we go. Now we have plot point 11. So the protagonist compares their current world to how things were at the beginning, an old juxtaposition. All right. So what does that look like? Now, it doesn't have to be a full-on conversation. Nobody has to say anything. So in a novel, plot point 12, it could just be physically represented. So again, if I'm using Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl, in plot point 13, in plot point 12, this is where Elizabeth Swann learns about Hector Barbosa, his crew, their curse, and that she's in a ghost story. The world she knew is no longer the world she knew. So this is where it comes out that they're cursed, and like they're throwing, she's eating the food, and he's like, have an apple, drink the wine. And she's like, you're trying to poison me. And he's like, there'd be no need killing you now, And then she jumps out of the cabin, and she sees everybody in the moonlight, and they're all like monsters. So a couple things are happening narratively. And this is something when you think of your books, you could look at cinema in the same way. It's like, because you could physically see the story being represented. So in your books, you could physically represent that. The audience not only is learning that they are no longer in the world they were at the beginning, but so is the character. So The protagonist compares their world, their current world, to where we are now. And this might be let's see. Laura Olivia gets into a bad fight, thrown into a holding cell to protect her. Protect her. All right. All right. Okay. So that'd be good. So we get to see a nice fight. She gets thrown into a holding cell. By the way, for anyone who's interested, a lot of this stuff can also be mixed. Like I could put plot point 11 and 12 together. Like ultimately, like if I was writing a chapter, this could be the bulk of the chapter. And then at the very end of the chapter, she gets into a fight and she is thrown into a holding cell. And then maybe the next chapter could be her in the holding cell. Okay. So when I'm working on these plot points, I am not necessarily working out what a chapter is going to be yet. I'm not focused or concerned with that. These are just things that I need to happen. These are the plot. Remember, every narrative is made of a plot and story. How do we say it? Plot is what needs to happen no matter what, and story is how it unfolds through the emotional experiences and choices of the characters. So this is just plot. These things need to happen in my mind. And of course, they can be adjusted as we work on it, but I can mix and match these plot points. Like I can make all three of these plot points a chapter if I wanted to. It doesn't, it could be one moment too. Like she gets arrested, can just be a moment. They come in, they arrest her, she's done, right? And that could be at the end of a chapter. So when you're using the outlining process, whatever you're using, if you're using what I'm using, which is the 27 plot point outline, or if you're using a 3-act or 6-act, a 9-act, whatever you're using, even if you're discovery writing, remember that the ideas that you have don't have to be explored in one chapter. They could be beats within a chapter. I know that could be overwhelming too sometimes, where it's like, I've seen, I've had clients, but I have friends that are writers and stuff like that. Especially when I was first getting into writing or first getting into developing people's stuff. A lot of the things you see for newbies too is they'll go, I need my character to be seen as a good person, or that they're really good at acrobats, or they're a sharpshooter, and they'll write a chapter that's dedicated to them being a sharpshooter. But then the rest of the book, we don't really see them being a sharpshooter except for one moment where they need to sharpshoot something. And they're like, yeah, but I have that whole chapter. But in reality, you could take their knowledge of sharpshooting and have that sort of be in their personality, the way they describe things or talk about stuff. They understand distance or measurement and sight. They might have knowledge of certain guns. And that becomes the seeding element that they are, right? Otherwise, you get Suicide Squad, where Will Smith as Deadshot has a literal full scene dedicated to him being a sharpshooter, and it does nothing except for at the end where it's like, well, if you kill us, we'll blow your brain out. Remember, there's a bomb inside your head, and it does nothing. But then the rest of the movie, he's the sharpshooter guy. But we already saw him. I'm going off tangent. I'm sorry. Don't make a chapter about one thing. Allow chapters to explore multiple elements. Either you're exploring the character's behavior and their truths, but ultimately, who a character is and what they can do is who they are in every single scene. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not only funny. Well, some people might say I'm not funny at all, but I'm not only funny when I'm with one person. I even when I'm by myself, I'm looking at the world in a humorous lens. I make jokes to keep myself entertained. So you want to approach your characters and your narratives in the same way, if possible. By the way, again, anyone who's watching, please remember you could ask questions while I'm discussing things, while I'm working out ideas, while I'm informing. If you have questions against your own books, feel free. If you have thoughts on the book that we are presenting to you in this, feel free to ask. And as always, you can more than happily take these plot points and create your own story from it, because the story is how you write it through the characters, through your experiences. The narrative or the plot is just what we're working on right now. All right. She gets into a fight, thrown into a holding cell. Let's see. It's cold in there, and she's sleeping on the stone floor. Actually, metal floor. The metal floor, because this is sci-fi, everybody. Metal floor. There is a lot of heavy screams, loud bangs, and the environment is nothing she's ever experienced before. All right. To break her mind from the experience, she thinks about her romance novel, which leads her to thinking about the love interest, and she disassociates from the horror of her situation. Okay. Did I spell that right? Disassociates. She disassociates. Disassociates. Yeah, she disassociates. Yeah, to or disassociate. Son of a. There we go. Disassociates. Yeah. Disconnect. Yeah. All right. Remember, I'm a terrible speller. It happens. When I was in fourth grade, my teacher was like, "What do you kids all want to do when you grow up?" And I was like, "A writer." And she's like, "You should think about trade. You can't spell." I was like, "Thanks." Now I make a living with this. What are you going to say? Don't let people deter you, because even the greatest of authors have trouble spelling. They have great editors, and they're always doing the work. They're always reworking. All right, so there we go. We have the opening of Act 2. So this is the protagonist explores the new world, and their ascending rise to the conflict. So the first one is we establish her within the prison. Then we learn a little bit about her and her environment of the prison, within the situation. And then ultimately the situation has an impact on her, which is she is tossed in the cell. So now this is the whole by the way, L Flowers, you were saying adding I think it was the other so when I do work on the psychological elements sometimes, so her emotional state would be that she needs to get out of here and now. All right. Which leads us to the midpoint conflict, which has 3 beats. You have the build up to the midpoint, you have the actual midpoint, and then you have the reaction to the consequence. So we did this. We can actually get rid of this. Wait. Okay, so has to escape, I think, and tries to escape. They escape. Okay, so why did I write it that way? The beats are, well, now I get to use the build up to the midpoint conflict, where we are going to introduce the device again, because to contact the love interest. All right, let's do it. All right. Laura Olivia is placed back in her normal cell, and she's like, I got to get out of here because I don't belong. Her cellmate, who we've already established that they like each other, and they have a device. A device. Do it. Her cellmate offers to let her use the device. All right. Now, by the way, if I just write tries to escape, right? Again, it's just a plot point. How they escape is the stuff I get to play with later and have some fun. If anyone has any questions about the process or what I'm talking about, please, for the love of all humanity, ask questions. I love questions. I will happily answer your questions. By the way, everyone's saying TikTok's back. What do you think? Do you think it's back? Let's see. I don't think I hope it's not. Oh, look at that. No, it's done. No. It says it's back. Check it out. All right. So, let's see. Her cellmate. Okay. So, Laura contacts the love interest. Yes. And he feels bad because he did earlier. We seeded that. Remember when they were like, we gotta go, and they're like, we can't just leave her, and they're like, forget her, and he's like, I gotta go or I won't get the money. And then says that he'll help her get out since he feels it is his fault. He's taking some responsibility for it. Okay. All right. What is the plan? Discuss the plan of escape. Yes, escape. Now, I'm going to write a note here for myself, but also for the viewer. Don't go over every single detail, just enough to let the reader know that they are going to do XYZ, and then allow the actual escape to play out with some surprises. Yes. Look at that. I get to do an escape. Yeah. Breaking out of prison. Yeah. Everybody. Breaking out of prison. No, just me. All right. Okay. What do we got? What we got? All right. Now there's a couple things that the midpoint conflict will do. Okay. As you can see, it says where the truth of the lie is revealed. All right. So the character, Laura Olivia, has to believe a truth at this point. And in midpoint conflict, what she believes to be true will be revealed to be a lie. Okay. So there's a couple of things we could do, and I'm gonna do some brainstorming here. We could have the love interest breaking her out because they need her ship again, or that or the crew helps break her out because they left something valuable on the ship, which if I go that route, I will have to go back and seed something happening. I will have to seed the likelihood of a package or something within the ship, because you don't want it to just be like you always want readers to be able to go back and read the book and then be like, oh, here it is, it's spelled out. Like, you never want something to just sort of be like, this is the thing and it exists, so now we can do it, yay. All right. No, you want a little playtime. You want a little everything has to be earned. Okay. What else could we do? What else? Because the truth here is that she believes that they're going to help her, or the love interest is going to help. But in reality, the lie is that she believes they're actually helping because they're going to help. But the truth is they might need her. But we could also figure out something else. Maybe, as the old saying goes, Even the love interest believes a lie, and we could have the truth revealed that they didn't actually know what was going on. Let's see. Ooh, or here's something. The cellmate. Eh? The cellmate is actually the one who messes up the escape because they get time off their sentence for helping. And that becomes the truth of the lie revealed. So she thought she could rely on this person. She thought she could help it. And turns out, bloop, 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 bloop. Right? But we still need her to escape, right? So I think what I kind of like that one because it adds a little bit more something. Because these two just feel like, but this feels like, as Stephen King says, throwing a monster in the room. It's a nice twist, Ooh, what a twist. It's something that is connected to her situation currently and isn't necessarily connected to the other situation. Because I'm trying to make this based off the $10 bill storyline, where the $10 bill goes to different people, and within that, we see the life of this existence within the $10 bill. So kind of interested in that. So I think we're going to go with this one. I think I'm going to go with this one. So again, we cross this out. We do not delete. We always keep. All right. So there we go. Okay. So the cellmate is actually the one who messes up the escape. All right. So for how it plays out. All right. Okay. The love interest is doing what they can to break Laura out, and things kind of unfold, and problems keep happening. All right, so now that we have that, this is what that plot video is about. We're going to kind of talk about this a little bit. So, this is because now they can get the love interest, who is also wanted, because remember, they are the hijackers. He's a part of the hijacker gang. Oh, I got it. I know what I could do. My brain is working the plan. So instead of them escaping, they will get caught, both of them, right? But then they make a deal to give up the other hijackers. Eh? All right. I think we're getting somewhere. Okay. It's because they now they can get the love interest. All right. Ultimately, they get caught. Yeah. All right. So there we go. So the immediate reaction, they are tossed into a evil cack. All right. They are tossed into a high security cell area. Separate. All right. Okay. I think I like this. I think I like where it's going. Laura can hear him through the cells. They are next to each other. All right. We'll say the warden comes and speaks with the love interest, and Laura is like, hey, I'll help you get the gang if you let me out. I'm innocent. They hijacked me and my ship. All right. Yeah. Did I spell a lot of things wrong? Let's see. Ooh, separate. You guys got to tell me, all right? All right. So now we're gonna. So as you can see, the outline, I had ideas already, right? Because I had ideas that kind of seeded out this. But now, because I'm allowing it to discover itself through ideas, I'm changing things up. So remember, you do not uh, have to ultimately stick with what you come up with. You're allowed to play with it and change it. Okay. You're allowed to play with it and change it. What's the rule, everybody? That's right. Play with it and change it. Okay. All right. So that is the midpoint conflict. Yes. Yes. Which means we get to do the final section, which is section 6 is all about, okay, it's all about finding a solution to fix the issue. Did I make it early this time? Well, we're 46 minutes in, but we still got a little bit. I got 15 to 20 minutes left. So, that's exciting. You're more than welcome to hang and join us. As always, I recommend sharing the videos so we can get some more people asking questions about the process. We are in the outlining right now. This is known as, in the process of writing, this is known as the short form outlining. Okay. We just got them arrested, so that's always good. All right. I love getting them arrested. Okay. Let's do this. So, now that they tried to escape, they got caught again, but now they have the love interest who's a part of the gang. Now we have to get them to work through this. All right. That I shall. And speaking of sharing videos, thank you for sharing mine. That was kind. Hey, I'm not just one of those talkers, where they're like, we should support the community. If I like something and I see it and I see goodness in people and kindness and compassion, I'm the first to share and elevate others. I care about actually being the physical change I want to see in this world. Also, if I don't, my beard will suffocate me. So that's really. I had no choice, but at the same time, I wanted to, that's really the secret. That's the secret. All right. So we can use section 6 to be the exploration of the trickery, right? She's like, hey, I will help you get the hijackers and get me out because I am innocent. Like they hijacked me and I got arrested and I had nothing to do with that. So we could use section 6 as sort of its own story beat, the intro, right? Plot point 16 is the intro, the setup, and then plot point 17 would be the conflict, and then because it's the action taken, and then the resolution. So this could be the let's get the gang to believe something, and then this is the gang. So I'll just write that down as a quick thing. Get the gang to believe something. We'll figure that out. Okay. And then it is ultimately the gang gets springs the trap. Okay. And then now there's a couple things we could do here. I'm actually going to take okay. So this will be where what the hell? Laura and the love interest. I gotta come up with a name with that guy. Interest are released, right? Okay, so that's important, but I'm actually gonna move this up here. Boop. The ship is impounded because this is the setback, right? We have to. They are in a situation where there's a setback. So the ship is impounded still. And the love interest helps her get it out of Hawk, and she owes them. I'm going to take that beat away. But again, we don't delete. So we're just going to put it here in red and then X that out. Because you never know. You might delete it and be like, oh, I wish I had a thing. And then you look at the deleted stuff and you're like, oh, there's a thing. Let's see. It was sent to another planet, and she has to deal. That's good. That's good. All right. So, all right, we got to go back a little bit. I got to do something here. This is all the prison stuff. Yes. All right. So she gets arrested and connection. They connect her to her ship, which they impound. Okay. All right. So now they take the ship, right? But she doesn't know that they impounded it. Okay. That's important. I also want to do something else. The ship is being fixed, and she's working off the cost of the ship. So that's the whole point. That's Act 1. Act 2 was fun. We got to be in a prison, and we're trying to get out of the prison. All right, so let's look at this. All right. What are we gonna do? Oh yeah, that's why I did this. Boop. All right. Get the gang to believe something. What can that something be? Now, this is the part of outlining that I really love. I don't need specifics. I only need generalizations. What do we got here? Luke Torpedo. Hi, loving the story. I wanted to check how many plot points should you put per section. Is 3 a general rule? So yeah, when it comes to the when it comes to the actual outline that I'm using, it's called the 27 plot point outline. It's also known as the 27 chapter outline, but I call them plot points because a plot point could last X amount of chapters. So the way it works is basically there are 3 acts. Each act has 3 sections, a beginning, a middle, and end. And then each section has 3 plot points to create a beginning, a middle, and end. And the reason it does that is to help create a natural narrative flow in the storytelling, moving, controlling the pace in a sense. It's giving you a chance to go, all right, I need to set this up. So let it breathe a little bit. All right, this is the second part of the section. So it should be the conflict. So it should be either heightened stakes or maybe action, or it should be emotionally intense. And then the resolution sort of like moves it to a natural lull. So you're sort of creating throughout the plot. And by the way, I have files in the folder, and everything is free. You don't have to sign up for anything, whatever. You just click on the link for the folder, for the Right Mindset folder. And there are blank templates of this stuff. And I even have templates where it just explains what the sections are. It has like a lot of detail, and I'm always updating them. So that's something to look for. And thirdly, thank you for loving the story. I appreciate that. What do we got here? Flowers. Don't think I've heard those 2 sentences together. All right. I don't know what you do. I've said, please reinform me so I could know what 2 sentences I said together, that so I can react appropriately. I'll even leave this here for you. Boop, 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 boop. All right, where are we? Getting the gang to believe something. So we need to get them to believe something. And again, as an outline, remember, you don't have to go specific because this outline right here is all about short form outlining. It's just getting the broad strokes out so you can play with it later. What do we got? Oh, we got to be in prison, so that will. Hey, listen. Sometimes it is fun. We just don't know, you know. The cat's here. What's up, cat? 2 says hello, everybody. 2 says hello. Two-Face for 2 for sure. Because she has like that fur that makes like one face one color and one. I would have named her after the Star Trek aliens, but that's just me. All right. Meow. Oh, yes, they're talking to you. You want to come up? No, you can. All right, so get the gang to believe something or other. Oh, questions. I love questions. All right, what do we got here? I have a question. What would be your approach if, say, For instance, you have 3 to 5 characters, main, protag, and 3 primary, given the beats you intend to hit. All right, excellent question. The first thing I always do is whoever the main protagonist is, that is the first thing I plot. So right now, what you're watching me is if I was writing this with multiple characters, this is in first person. I'm going to write this in first person. But if there were multiple characters, if she's the first, I'm going to work out her storyline first, her plot. And I'll just put it into the 27 plot points. Then what I do is I go back and I start adding each character one at a time. Now, what that allows me to do, it allows me to adjust like the plots as a whole a little bit at a time so I can make more sense of it instead of having everybody sort of at once. And I always use the 27 plot point outline. However, again, these 3 plot points right here, like if I just, for example, these 3 plot points could end up just being a 3-page piece within a chapter, and that would effectively help that character you create. So whether it's the protagonist or primaries or whatever the case may be. But I always just go through one character at the time, starting with the main protagonist, because the main protagonist is the driving force of the narrative. And then from there, I add the next important character and so forth and so on. But as you can see, the love interest here is technically not a protagonist per se, but they are a primary character because they're reoccurring. And I'm slowly adding them through Laura's experience within the arc, right? But if I was going to add another POV, I could do that, right? It's sort of like when you write, I'm not writing a romance now, I'm writing, what it is. But even in a romance novel, if they're first person, you could, because the Time Traveler's Wife, whatever, that's written in first person, and it does one character for a chapter, and then there's another character for a chapter, and you could do that. Even in that situation, I would just outline all the way through for one character and then just slowly build on it. Slowly build on it. Like right now, I'm working on an epic fantasy series, a saga, and the first book is primarily 2 protagonists. And I just went through, right? But then I created character arcs for like secondary characters, like the father or the adoptive father, or there's like a guard there that became more and more important as I worked on it. So then I started creating sort of like a through line for them. And maybe I didn't give them a beat for every plot point because they're like real minor, but you could do that too. You could sort of add them into the flow. Once all that's done, then I start developing chapters. And within those chapters, that's where I start influencing things. This is a very important part of the outlining process. The only character that must be in order or placed, like the plot points need to make sense, is the main protagonist of the narrative. Their plot points need to happen in order. They should sort of be a cause and effect of the narrative. Secondary characters and other characters, you could take 3 plot points and put them into a chapter. You could take 5 plot points and put them into a chapter. Like you could make things just sort of be a thought or a question. Like, for example, if a plot point is they lost their house, that could be a throwaway line. Like, yeah, I can't believe it. I'm here with you because I lost my house. And there you go. Now you got it in there in a sentence. But the narrative moves through the POV and the main protagonist. So that is something to keep in mind. And you're going to see that sort of unfold as this series continues. All right, where are we? Gang, get the gang to believe something. All right. What we could do? We could do, let's see. Now, remember I said don't delete stuff? You see this, right? Oh, yeah. So I'm going to take this back, except I'm going to move it now. I'm going to move it. Boop. This will be the thing, right? Laura and the love interest tell the crew, right? That they left something valuable on the ship. And the love interest confirms it, right? Right. So there we go. We got that. They confirm it. This helps to bring validity to the trap. Okay. All right. Beep. Before you end your segment, please talk more about your services offered as a developmental editor. I'll be happy to do that. I will be happy to do that. All right. So this helps to bring validity to the trap. They don't believe them, and ultimately offer to meet up with them where the ship crashed, since it's been totaled, which is a lie. All right. Now, look at that. Remember, great writers have great editors. Okay. All right. So now we sort of have an idea of get the gang to believe something. All right. Okay. Let's see. They don't believe them. I'll do this actually. They don't believe them because last they heard, Laura was arrested for the crimes they committed. So they ultimately offer to meet up. All right, so that the meeting up part would be the convincing element of like, well, if we're in prison, if we got arrested, then how can we meet up? We'll meet up with you. Like, we'll meet you where the ship crashed. We couldn't do that if we were in prison. Right? And be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. All right. And then ultimately the gang springs the trap. There is a shootout. I love shootouts. Shootout. And the gang tries to get away. Okay. The authorities do get them. The love interest and Laura help stop them from getting away, etc., etc. Okay. All right, there we go. Very quick. And again, this is just broad strokes. And the reason I like doing the broad strokes is it helps my shoulders and lower back. No, I do the broad strokes because while I'm working on the story element later on, when I'm outlining the zero draft and working on chapters, it gives me a chance to have a little bit more playroom. One of the things I always say is like outliners and discoverer writers, like outliners or gardeners or whatever the case may be, they're basically you should be two of the same thing, right? Because even when you're pantsing, you are outlining. You're like, I need a beginning, like that, and I want them to be dancing in the woods, and now that is technically outlining because you're thinking of things, but then you discover what's happening, and that is sort of how I mix the two. I have an outline, I base it off of beats that I'm trying to accomplish, but how I get there, as you can see, I've been changing beats. So if you watch the first video and the second video and this video, clearly you'll see that I adjusted things and changed things completely based on feeling out where it's going. All right. I know too. I know. I gotta play with you a little bit in a second. All right. So that's pretty good. I think today we did a full second act, and we did the last section in Act 1. Did that in an hour. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. So I guess next video. See, this is all going to change too. Yeah, the rival gang and the original gang for part 1 will be coming after her. Okay, actually, I could add to this. One of the main members got away from the trap. The rest of the crew got taken. So this one person is going after them. All right. So that's just a note that I need to know for when I come back. All right. So next Sunday, we will continue on. We will continue to outline Act 3. And I don't think we're going to get to chapter outlining, but we might get to some ideas for that, but we'll definitely go through Act 3. All right, so this is where normally in the video I give it to the audience. We already have a question. I know Strike Boogie wants me to talk a little bit about my developmental editing and other services, so I'll just mention that real quick. And then while I'm doing that, if anyone has a question on what we went over today, or you have a question that directly relates to your own stories, this is me giving the floor to everyone who's watching. This is sort of like, let me help you. As far as my services go, it's very, very simple when it comes to it. You hire me and I talk with you about what you're looking to do. Now, if it's developmental editing, it's very simple. You could either have a full story written and I just basically read through it. I organize it. I break down what the outline is, and I basically reverse engineer it. And then I see where things are missing or not missing. I see where things need to be seeded. I basically figure out the holes, and then I give you lots of notes on the holes, and I basically give you a whole thing, right? The other thing I can do is if you don't have a story written out completely and you're working on it, I could sit down with your notes and we can talk out the plots and basically work it out. We might even do an outline in real time together while you're talking about things. We can start slipping stuff and I basically help you outline. The other element of being a developmental editor is if you have nothing at all but an idea, like you go, it'd be really great, like if two brothers were racing across time and space. And I go, that's a great idea. Let's figure out the story. And then I'll help you discover what that is and what you're trying to work through. My other services are pretty simple. I do beta reading, obviously, where I just give you my experience of the book and things that are working or not working. I also mentor writers, which is basically I help you with brainstorming. I help you understand and learn the 27 plot points so you can do it on your own. I give writing guidance for your prose. I could look at your writing style, and without changing your voice as an author, I could help you hone that voice and show you how to create logical narrative movement, which is something we talk about a lot on this channel, where every sentence should be leading into the next sentence, and ultimately every paragraph should be leading into the next paragraph, so forth and so forth. And then, of course, you could just hire me to just do outlining if you want. I could just do the, just straight outlining and line editing. But as far as costs go, I work with everybody. I've said it many times. I'm not in it for the money anymore. I'm basically pseudo-retired. I had a career in entertainment. I'm 47 this year. Jesus. So I'm a full-time writer and editor and stuff like that. But I pick and choose who I want. So the money's not really an issue. So I work with the budget of my people. But I still charge something because, as I was always told, if you pay for something, you put a little bit more effort into it. And if I'm going to give you my time, especially for a reduced rate like that, I want you to be all in. I don't want to sort of, if that makes sense. Like, I don't want to waste my time, and I don't want you to waste your time. And so there it is. It's very simple. All right. Any questions about what we did today? Any questions that you have in general about writing? They don't even have to be about outlining. They could just be questions in general. Do you have questions about your book that you're working on? Will I take a sip of water? Let's see how it plays out. I usually give it 3 minutes. If 3 minutes runs out, then we call it a day. We call it a day. I could sing a little bit. I could make a little song. I can't believe it's only 3:11. 3:11, everybody. 3:11. By the way, Bitcoin is now officially over $106,000 a coin. If anyone, that is crazy. That's a lot for a coin. Am I right? Am I wrong? I don't know how this works. All right, there we go. What is that? A minute? We got a minute. We're half a minute in. We have 2.5 minutes left. Does anyone have a question? I'm leaving it to the floor. I guess. Well, I'm waiting. If you guys want to ask questions, I'll answer it. But So next week when we work on it, we're going to be working on Act 3. We're going to try to get the resolution down. And as you can see, I don't use this element anymore. Victory seems possible. We're basically, can the characters make it out? Can they not make it out? We will go over the protagonist finds the power to continue on and succeed. And of course, the protagonist fights and wins. By the way, fun fact, a protagonist does not have to win. They can lose at the end of the book as long as their loss comes with a moral discovery or they grow as a character. Because victory isn't necessarily always a win. An invisible coin, too. Of course. Well, listen, you need invisible coins, you know. Luke. I love the name, by the way, Luke Torpedo. Thank you very much. I wanted to ask, how do you decide which person you should write your story in? Which person which POV or which character? I'm sorry, I'm just asking for clarity. Are you asking which person, as in like what character do you choose to write the story in, or are you asking what POV, as in first person, third person, second person? And I will answer that question. I just need a little clarification. Claire, who's Claire? Anyway, epilogues. I love epilogues. Who doesn't love an epilogue? Oh, here we go. First person, etc. Excellent. All right. So, the way I decide is I have two different methods. The first one is I just decide that I want to write in that POV, and it's based on ultimately what the genre is. Because, like, you know, if you're writing a thriller or a mystery, you kind of have to write in first person just so you can work through the noir-esque style of a crime. Like the detective is figuring it out and you're so close to the way they're processing. Like Jack Reacher books, like that's all in first person because he doesn't really talk a lot. So you get a lot of inside thoughts and you get to see how he's processing. The second way is if I don't know which one I want to write, what I do is when I get to the actual writing process, I'll take the first page and I'll write it in whatever POV first. I might write third person limited or third person limited close, right? And then I'll take that same first page, which should only be like 300 words, by the way, 350 words. If I'll rewrite it in the new POV, I'll rewrite it in first person and I'll see what it feels like. And then if I'm not comfortable with that, I might write it in omniscient now. And omniscient, by the way, is it's just the narrator has an opinion or is a little bit more informative. Instead of saying, you know, Luke entered the bar, sitting at the desk, the smoke curling around him as in the darkness with the light flickering in the back. Right? Instead of writing that, omniscient would be like, Luke entered the bar, you know, or the local bar is one that Luke has visited many times. He as he enters the door, familiar to the smells and smoke curling around his face. Like that's more omniscient. So when you are rewriting the scenes, take that into consideration. First person, we get the direct understanding of the character and how they're presented within the scene. They have a narrative voice. In third person limited, it's distant. We don't necessarily get their thoughts and opinions or their narrative voice, but we're seeing and feeling the scenes unfold. Omniscient is where we see the scene, but now from somebody, a god, technically, it's omniscient, having opinions and thoughts, and it should have a personality. So it's always fun to kind of play with them. Hope that helped. Flowers. When you're being, you know, we found the murderer, and I'm Columbo. Of course, you could always do the Columbo from The Princess Bride. You know, I come to tell you a story. You're sick, and I wanted to make sure you feel better. Excelente. That's what this channel's about, helping one another, informing, acknowledging, doing all those exciting things. And anyway. Oh, you seen this? This is something somebody asked, Strike Boogie asked. So this is something I do. I do it a little different now, but this is still on the template. So, like, let's say this is a character's name here, Laura Olivia. All right. So the first one is she owns a transporting company. So this is her first this is one of her main, this is the main arc for her. She owns this company, she's trying to develop it, right? And then she wants to be a romance novelist. So as I'm like building on the outline itself, I start coming up with the arcs and I go, oh, where can I take that? But the main arc is really I'll do this. The main arc is that she gets caught up in a crime with hijackers. All right. And that's ultimately the actual this first line right here. This is what the narrative is about. So I'm trying to tell that story with the plot points. And then if you go back and watch the video, you'll see that I seed the romance novel stuff in and I seed this stuff in. There's the love interest. So this gets seeded in, but it's not every plot point is going to also be filled up with each arc. Like that's the other thing. Like when you're working with a character, you can make as many character, because technically this is 4 stories right now for one character, but this one gets every single plot point written out, and this one gets a couple of plot points written out, and so forth. This one probably gets the least plot because we don't really focus on her company, but we know that she has it, And what else? Is there anything else? No, because even this one, she gets caught up in the crime, right? But I could say she needs to get her ship, right? Her ship. That is another plot point that came up, but it's not necessarily every plot point because it doesn't come up until later, And then I might do the love interest. I have to come up with a name with it, but love interest. And his first one is his involvement with the gang. Right. And then let's say I don't have to do love interest because that's already with the other character, but I might say he doesn't really want to be a criminal. Right. Okay. So then as I'm working on the outline, I'll go back and I'll make sure I'm seeding these concepts. And I just use this as sort of like a visual reminder to myself. Oh yeah, these are arcs that I have to teach. I have one character. Again, I'm writing an epic fantasy. I have one character, Devious. His name is. By the way, he's a hero. He's a protagonist, but he's also a good guy. But his name is Devious. I think that's funny. Anyway, he has like 28 arcs, but some of them might just be a small arc. Like this ain't something that's in the book, but it could be like he wants to learn how to shoot a bow. Well, that might cover, once, he sucks at the bow. He's practicing the bow in another chapter somewhere. Maybe another chapter, he's getting a little bit better with the bow. And then maybe at the end of the book, he shoots the bow perfect and hits somebody. And like, that is the arc of he wants to learn. So sometimes even if you have like 30 arcs kind of, thought out, like just as an idea, they don't have to take up the whole narrative. The only one that does is the main narrative. Like we need her to be hijacked. That creates a complete dynamic of destruction to her life. And she needs to remedy the hijacking, which as we've written so far, she's hijacked. So she's taken off the planet. She crashes the plane, the ship. Then she's thrown into prison. She has to get out of prison. And then ultimately she has to get the hijackers back, get them back, right? And then she needs to get home. And that is technically that narrative. She gets caught up in a crime with hijackers. And that affects literally the whole narrative. And then everything else, I could even be like a relationship with her parents or family. Right? I could do that. And now I have to say to myself, do I want to see that how do I want to do that? And right now, theoretically, we only see the family in the first plot point and we're going to see the family in the last plot point, so we could have that payoff where she sits down and they're like, oh, where have you been for the last, and she's like, I've been transporting, and like it's just like another day, so it's just kind of funny. But anyway, all right, that was an aside. All right, I guess if no one has any more questions, I love questions. So, and if no one has any more questions, we could call it a day. Let's do a final thought. Final thought. All right. So, what did we learn today? We learned that outlining is a process of broad strokes and not specific details. You need to allow yourself to be able to change things. Don't delete anything. Just cross it out, because as we learned today, even a deleted beat ended up coming back and being something we can create into a new movement. So that's important. The other element is stay focused on the main narrative and then seed the smaller elements. You don't have to go overboard with your notes when outlining, because you're allowed to change things, and you don't want to make it too complicated when you're doing what we call, this is the short form outlining for a reason. It is literally, no pun intended, just us making statements. You can make as many statements as you want. You can go a little deeper with the statements. That's totally fine. But it's the extended outline where we are going to go into character motivations, where we are going to go into character choices, where we're going to go into the cause and effects and consequences. That's where we really develop the story. Right now, we are only working on the plot of the narrative, because all narratives are made up of both plot and story. Plot is what needs to happen no matter what, and story is how it unfolds through the emotional experiences and choices of characters, because that's really what we care about. No one cares about an empire, but they do care about Luke and Vader being related. They do care about the rise and fall of Darth Vader. They do care about Luke's journey into the Force, but mostly because he's making choices. He chooses to stop his training in the second movie, spoiler alert, to go save his friends. That's a choice. That's more interesting than he is training to be a Jedi, right? How is he training to be a Jedi? So when you look at your narratives, think about plot as what needs to happen. Luke needs to train with Yoda, but how that unfolds is the story, and it's the choices that they make within that story. What we got here? Oh, hello, Winters. You caught us at the very end. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask any writing questions, and hopefully you can rewatch the video in peace later and get something out of the story development and everything. I am a bit late. Yeah, but there's no judgment here. This is a judgment-free zone. The only person I judge is myself. And even that's, not like I used to, but you know what I'm saying. The sun is still awake. That's good though, right? Oh wait, unless it's late. If it's really late, I'm sorry. My father, when I was awake, he would do this thing where he would he would take a strap off and go and like snap it. He would never hit us with it though. And then, or he'd wear it around his neck and he'd be like, I think it's bedtime. And then we'd be like, all right, Dad. Okay. He was a funny guy. Anyway, what else? Next video in the series, we're just going to continue on. As I said, we're going to next Sunday, 2:00 Eastern Standard Time. We will continue to work on the outline. Hopefully next week will be the last day on the main outline. All right. Remember, please subscribe, hit the bell icon so you don't miss out. If you haven't done so already and you like what you've been watching, it really means a lot to me to support the channel. Like, comment, and share all the jizz jazz. But more importantly, I would say to build the community. So if anyone's in the chat and you guys have been talking and liking each other, subscribe, follow each other. It's all worth it. It's all worth it. I tell you. What we got? Woo! 9:25. Oh wow, that's not bad. What is that? 5? Oh yeah, but aren't you like England, I believe, or something like that, right? You're 25 hours ahead. What are the major lessons I missed? Could you try summing up in one sentence? A massive challenge. Joking around. I actually could. I just did in the final thought, basically. When outlining, Just focus on broad strokes. Don't get too crazy with the specific details. Allow yourself to see the moments in ideas and not necessarily what people are going to do, because the broad strokes are plot. The specifics start becoming story. So that's something. Oh, that's right. Italia. Italy. You are in Italia. Over there. What is it? Buenos noches. No, noches. I get my Spanish and my Italian. Listen, when I was younger, I had to learn Spanish and Italian, right? So I worked in a pizzeria at 12. Yeah, I know. I come from a different time. And my boss was Sicilian and didn't really speak English. And his son he spoke English because he was first generation. And my family's Sicilian. So I learned Sicilian Italian, and then I had to learn Spanish Italian. And sometimes I get a lot of it like como stai, all these things, but all I'm saying is, arrivederci. My father used to always say, "Kifa, state zitto, aspetta." And that's what you say all the time. Just walk around the house. Kifa, state zitto, aspetta. Anyway, that's it. All right. I guess we could call it a night. I want to thank everybody who joined, late or early. It doesn't matter, because just showing up is a kindness that I deeply appreciate. It means the world to me. Other than that, I guess we're done. I guess we could do the sign off. You ready? Here's the sign off. As always, keep developing the right mindset. I'll see you next time. Au revoir. Auf Wiedersehen. Ciao. Buenos. I don't know. Au revoir. Arrivederci. All right.